Hello and welcome back to another, well, it's not a gunpla review this time. I ran out of kits. Don't worry, I'll have some more in a few weeks. But until then, I'm going to be taking a look at some other things in my collection, such as the figure we're taking a look at today, the War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege Voyager class Optimus Prime. Optimus is looking very G1-y in this design. Clear nostalgia pandering aside, it does look pretty good. And the relative lack of kibble is a testament to the engineering of the original G1 toy. But without further ado, as usual, let's start with the articulation. Starting up at the head, and let's get a good look at that. Nice G1 sculpt. You can see that the eyes are painted in a slightly metallic blue. Much better than light piping in my opinion. The head is on a ball joint. Can look up slightly, down slightly. Very, very slight side to side, and of course a 360 spin. The shoulders are on a hinge towards the back for transformation and also a full swivel. The upper arm hinges out, and this is on a separate panel that allows it to get straight out to 90 degrees, which is always nice. There's a rotation at the upper arm, which can go all the way around. The elbow is a single joint. However, it can get slightly over 90 degrees. And the wrist is a swivel, which can go all the way around, but it is kind of tight on mine. Now, you do actually get a waist swivel, which can go all the way around. The hips are on universal jointage. A swivel here, a hinge outwards, full splits, a rotation at the upper thigh, which is always nice. The knees have a rotation above the knee and a absolutely ridiculous knee bend. And they still look pretty good from the front when they're fully bent, which is always a plus. No forward or back pivot at the ankle, however you do get a pretty nice side pivot down to here. And if you want, you can bend the heel or the toe. These joints are for transformation, but they can put the foot at a slight angle if you need them to for any poses. Getting into the accessories, Prime doesn't have very many, just his traditional ion blaster, which is just a single piece of plastic. However, it does have a hole at the top, which is the standard peg size. As well, you have this dual shield and axe, which can fit into either of the hands or any of the mini attachment points. You can just unfold the handle, and I always forget which side of this you're supposed to flip out first. It's the small one. Just have the full axe deployed, and you can plug that into the hand. Probably further than that, but this is good enough to show it off. And also, as you saw at the beginning of the review, you can fold this away and peg it into this point on the arm. And use it as a shield. However, it does kind of stick off the arm pretty far. Looks a little bit awkward. The plaster can just peg into the hand, of course. And this is generally how I display them, using the axe as a shield, even if it does stick out the arm quite a bit. Now, one of the gimmicks of this line is you have a bunch of tiny pegs all over the figures. Prime is not a great example of this, since he only has 4, but, well, if you don't include the shield, which has 3 on its own, but you get any of these effect parts, and they have a corresponding hole for any of the pegs, and you can plug it on and have a laser effect, which actually works surprisingly well. Better than I thought it would anyway. Now, as for attachment points, you have one on each shoulder, one on each lower arm. You also have some on the legs, though I'm pretty sure this is more for the vehicle mode. You have some on the feet, but that's more for the weaponizers. And you have 2 on the backpack. Well, I think it's supposed to be a jetpack, but it's just kind of a square stuck on the back. Also, you do have a port here on the butt for a 3mm peg for any compatible stands. However, at least on mine, it is too small. It's almost as if they took the 3D model and shrunk it slightly for the actual figure and forgot to adjust that. The only explanation I can come up with anyway. Now, for my standard size comparison in the robot mode. Fairly standard for Voyager class. Now, getting into the transformation, it is similar to G1 Prime, however, there's a lot of small tricks here and there that really give it its own flavor. Starting where we should start. Yeah, I'm starting to think this might be slightly frozen up from dust. Fold away the head. Just get it out of the way. This is supposed to plug in here for the robot mode, but it just kind of sits there. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but it doesn't really plug in. Anyway, you fold this out, fold these panels out, hook the front bumper out, which is easier said than done. Likes to get stuck, at least on my copy. There we go. Then you want to rotate it around that way. Bring this down. Try and not have all these panels bang against each other. Right. Fold these out. Fold this up. Just sort of unfold everything for now. You're going to want to bring the hips back and bring out these wheels up in the chest. And they collapse in, and they're a lot easier to put in than they are to get out. At least for me. It's easier to get them out if you close up the chest Though even then, it's still kind of finicky to get them out. Come on. There we go. See, they're on a hinge. Now that's back out of the way and lined up. Supposed to be anyway. Yeah, you get these down here. Yeah, just fold them down for now. There we go. And open this back up. Now we can bring this There's a lot of fiddling going on with the chest. Fold this in here. And this in here. And now that should be lined up-ish. This can actually come down here now. And that's in there. And now these can tab into the sides. These sides can fold up. This can come down. And at least on mine, it doesn't want to line up on this side. Lines up on this side though. And you can close it up and, oh, there's the front half. As for the legs, you're going to want to close up the feet. Then rotate these around, pull this out, pull this panel up into this panel. Same on this side. Then you're going to want to take the wheels and flip them around this way. Or that small amount of stress in the plastic there. I may or may not have accidentally done that while transforming it the first time. Then just squeeze this together. Also remember to, it's actually easier to get them out if you separate the legs. Remember to flip out these two panels. They cover up the legs in vehicle mode. Then you just want to get these panels here up underneath the red, and they tab in. Both to the legs and up here. This tab on the blue plastic goes into here, and this one on the gray plastic goes into the leg. Find that the legs do like to pop apart. Then you just move the wheel up onto the tab in here on both sides. And there we have Prime in vehicle mode. Now in vehicle mode, you still have access to all of the hard points that you did in robot mode, and you also now get one on the bed of the truck, which can be used to store the ion blaster and the shield. Of course, you can also just plug them in anywhere else on the vehicle mode. and the only points you have available now are the two right next to each other on the legs, and then the ones on either side of the vehicle mode, where the shoulders were in robot mode. Feels like they missed an opportunity to put one or two here somewhere, so you could have a bloosh at the front of the vehicle, but it is what it is. Also, there is a... Let's get those off the vehicle again. There is technically a hover truck mode. It's kind of underwhelming and a little bit silly, but that's always fun. They do actually have dedicated joints, or dedicated pegs underneath that go into dedicated slots on the front wheels that actually you peg them down, and as for that you just fold these ones down, and there you go. Hover truck mode, apparently. Yeah, it kind of just looks like it's up on blocks, to be honest. Not much of a hover truck, but yeah, okay. As for articulation, it rolls, and it rolls really well, because all 6 of the wheels are actually pinned in and painted as well, even though you can only see the bottoms of these ones. That's a rarity. If you've seen the Earthrise line, you definitely know, yeah, that's not a thing anymore. I wouldn't mind so much if they were actually consistent between the front and the rear wheels, but, you know. Anyway, size comparisons in the vehicle mode, and mass shifting very much does still live, because this thing is a lot smaller than the robot mode somehow. To wrap this review up, Siege Voyager Prime is a very solid figure, and in what seems to have become more and more rare nowadays, it seems to actually be worth the price, with wide paint applications, though some people have varying views on the splashes of silver over the Siege figures. Personally, I think it works on Prime, at least. It's not too distracting. Probably would look better without it, but it's fine. But, I mean, for a Voyager, all the paint apps are there. They didn't skimp out on anything. They even painted the silver on the front of the toes for the vehicle mode. It has above average posability. I mean, those knees are ridiculous. The transformation is both fun and complex without being annoying. A few panels here and there might be a little finicky, but generally it goes fairly smoothly. Not to mention there's almost zero kibble on the entire robot mode, and there's no kibble in the vehicle mode. It's one of the cleanest Optimus Primes we've had in years. Up there with animated Prime, in my opinion. I would recommend this over the Earthrise Leader Class Optimus. They're pretty much identical in size, and at least this one doesn't have a massive bumper hanging off of his rear end. Granted, I do feel like they could have done something more with the roof of the vehicle mode to make it look a bit more like a jetpack, since that seems to be what they were going for. And also the oversight of the peg hole in the butt not being the right size for stands is... not quite sure how they overlook that, but it's incredibly irritating. Regardless, that's all for this review. Look forward to more Transformers reviews in the future. I think what I'll be doing is Wednesday reviews will be Gunpla, whenever I have them, and Saturdays will be Transformers, until I inevitably run out of those as well. Then I have no idea what I'm going to be reviewing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this review. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. It's Gunpla, but I try to be informative and at least somewhat entertaining. Also, if you'd be so kind as to give this video a thumbs up, it helps with the algorithm. But that's all for this review. And until next time, as is becoming my catchphrase at this point, happy building. I realize that doesn't make as much sense when I'm talking about Transformers instead of model kits, but I'm sticking to it, damn it. So, yeah. Until next time, happy building.